Hey everyone, Alex from T3 Books here, and today we're going to be covering everyone's favorite topic, annual compliance for nonprofits. This actually takes two forms. There's federal compliance and state compliance. This video is going to focus on the federal compliance side of things, and then there'll be a later video that talks about some state stuff. So for today, let's talk about annual compliance. Now, as a nonprofit, you are required to jump through certain hoops, mostly on the state side, but there is one federal form that you do need to file every single year, and that is what's called the Federal 990 form. Okay? So again, we're going to be covering just kind of the federal side of things today. So this 990. Churches don't need to do this. If you are a religious organization, you actually don't have to file the 990, but for any other nonprofit, you do. And if you are a private foundation, there's a different version of the form called a 990PF, which we'll discuss in a later video. So for today, we're just going to cover kind of the basics of what the 990 is, what version of the form you need to file, and what are the requirements to do that. Okay, so the 990. This is a federal form that takes there's three versions of it, right? So there's what's called the 990N e-postcard. This is the smallest version of the 990 form and applies to organizations that have anywhere from $0 to $50,000 worth of total revenue for the fiscal year of your organization. Most folks, this is January through December, but whatever your fiscal year is, that's what you're looking for in terms of total revenue. Now, by total revenue, we mean total income to the organization, not net revenue, not, again, income minus expenses, but total deposits to the organization within that 12 months period. So if you don't know, go back through your bank statements for whatever those months are, January through December, total up all the deposits into your bank, and if that's less than $50,000, then this 990N e-postcard is the form you need to file. The 990 right above that, in terms of scope here, is the 990EZ. The 990EZ is for anyone that has over $50,000 of total revenue up to $200,000 of total revenue for your fiscal year. There's also one other stipulation here, which is you also need to have less than $500,000 worth of total assets to qualify for the 990EZ form. So again, if your total income, total revenue is between 50 and 200, and you have less than $500,000 worth of total assets, you're going to file the 990EZ. And total assets is buildings, cars, any assets that your organization owns. As long as that's under 500,000, you're good to go. If you go over 500,000 in total assets, or you go over 200,000 in total revenue, then you're looking at what's called the 990 full form, just kind of colloquially called the 990. So this form is, again, for anybody that's over 200,000 in total revenue or 500,000 in total assets. Let's take a look at each one of these kind of individually. So the 990N e-postcard, again, is anybody that's got $0 to $50,000 worth of total income. And this is actually a free-to-file form with the IRS. You can go to the IRS website. They've got a little portal there that you can use. It's super simple. CPAs can also do this for you, but really it's free. You can do it at any time, and it is due annually. Now, there's one little stipulation with this, and this is not tax advice, but I'm just saying there's a thing here, which is they actually only require this one every 3 years. And that's not to mean that you can skip 2 years. It just means that you will lose your tax exempt status if you don't file this thing for 3 consecutive years. So there's a little bit of a grace there, but I would still recommend doing this every single year because it's super easy. When you get in here, it basically asks, hey, what's your organization? Did you make less than $50,000? And do you still exist? And is this still your address? That's basically what they're asking for. Fill that out. You're done for the year. Good to go. That is the 990N e-postcard. The 990EZ is a little bit more involved. So this again is for anybody that is between $50,000 and $200,000 of total income for the year and or less than $500,000 worth of total assets. This again is due annually. This is a 4-page form. So there's 4 kind of main pages to this thing, but then there's what's called schedules. So as you answer questions on these forms, it's going to trigger these additional schedules that you'll most likely need to file. Very commonly, there's a Schedule A, which will go back through the last couple of years worth of revenue and kind of just have you itemize things a little bit differently. And then there's the Schedule B, which is a list of your donors. So don't worry too much about it. There's like 8 or 10 different schedules that might get triggered just depending on what type of organization you have or what your activity is. But usually it's the 4-page form plus a couple schedules. And this along with all 990s here, this is a public facing document. So when these things get filed, the 990 ends will show up on the IRS website. And again, it just says, here's this org, they filed, they were less than 50, they still exist, good to go. The 990 EZs and the full forms, which we'll talk about here in a second, these all make it onto an additional website that used to be called GuideStar. Now it's called Candid. And this is publicly facing. So anybody that has your EIN number can go to this website, look it up, and go read your entire 990, save the Schedule B, which has all the donor info. That's not available. But anything else. So as you apply for grants, or as you apply for other funding, or if you have donors that ask, all of these 990s will be available on that public site once filed. So as you fill things out, just keep that in mind. Anything that you categorize here, any details that you add, any kind of descriptions of things, this is all eventually going to make it onto the internet where people can find it. So just so you know. General snooping, that's what I wrote there. And then there's the 990 full form, or just the 990. So again, this is anybody that is over $200,000 of total income or over $500,000 in total assets. This also is due annually for the same reasons as the EZ, but this is a lot more involved of a form. So this thing is about 9 or 10 pages by itself, and then you have those additional schedules as well, which there are 5 to 7 additional schedules from even what the 990 EZ could trigger. So it's just a lot more involved. It's a lot more complicated. And involves a lot more detail. It's a much further kind of dive into your organization, a lot more responses. It's also it's a lot deeper on the financial side of things as well. The N is kind of like, hey, we're here and we made less than 50 and that's about it. The EZ has you break your finances down into a handful of categories. This one is almost like you have an additional chart of accounts that you're having to flesh out and kind of fit things into. So it's a lot deeper on the financial conversion side. So filing requirements for all of these 990s. So whatever one you need to file, applies to any version of the form. So they're all due on the 15th day of the 5th month of your fiscal year. Kind of a lot of F sounds in there as a little trigger there. So 15th day of the 5th month of your fiscal year. So again, if you are January through December, this would mean May 15th is your deadline for this. If you have a July through June fiscal year, that would be November 15th is your deadline. There are extensions available for this as well. So if you need a little bit more time or need to work with someone to get what you need to be able to file, you can file an extension. But for the most part, that is the due date. And then these all must be electronically filed. So there's no paper forms, no filling stuff out and mailing it in anymore. You have to do this electronically. So on the end side, this again is done through the IRS site. So super easy, go to the IRS site and you can do it right there in their portal. The EZ and the full form, there are online tools that are available for this. I've seen 2 or 3 different tools that will walk you through everything. There's a fee for them and you can basically do it yourself. Or this is also a form that CPAs can file as well for you. So much like a personal return or a business tax return, 990s are something that CPAs can offer as well. If you find a CPA firm that is good working with nonprofits. Not all of them like to do that, but that is available. So that's basically it. That is essentially the 990 in a nutshell. There is one hoop that you have to jump through for annual compliance as a nonprofit, and that is the 990. Again, there's a lot more stuff on the state side, which we'll cover in another video. But as a quick recap on the 990 side for federal, this is directly with the IRS. There's 3 versions of the form. The N or the E postcard is for anybody less than $50,000 of total income. The 990 EZ is between $50,000 and $200,000 of total income and or less than $500,000 in total assets. And then the full form is anybody over those thresholds, anything over $200,000 of revenue or over $500,000 of total assets. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to email us or go to our website, t3books.com. We do file these forms, so if you need some help with this, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to help. Check out the next video that goes over the state compliance, which will focus more specifically on California, because that's where I am and that's what I know. But we'll kind of cover some just in generals about state compliance and then dive into some specifics on the California side of things as well.